You want power, you want respect, you want progress, but every time you move forward, something stops you. Your fear, other people's opinions, your hesitation. Today, we end that, because Machiavelli, will reveal the 7 brutal laws that eliminate weakness and make any person unstoppable. Most people will spend their entire lives waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect sign, the perfect permission to begin. They hesitate because hesitation feels safe. It gives the illusion of control, as if more thinking will magically produce certainty. But in the real world, in the world of power, hesitation is the disease that destroys greatness before it takes its first breath. The unstoppable understand a truth that terrifies ordinary minds. The one who moves first wins. The one who moves boldly leads. And the one who moves without waiting for certainty becomes the force that bends reality itself. Imagine 2 men standing at the edge of opportunity. One waits, calculating, doubting, rehearsing imaginary failures. The other steps forward. That single step separates rulers from followers. Because action, even imperfect action, creates momentum. Momentum creates direction, and direction creates influence. Soon others are watching you, adjusting to you, reacting to you. That is the essence of power. When you move without hesitation, the world becomes a series of responses to your decisions, not obstacles blocking your path. But to understand the brutality of this law, you must first understand the nature of time. Time is not generous. It punishes the indecisive. Every moment you hesitate, someone else is advancing. Every fear you indulge becomes another advantage for your rival. People often speak of luck, talent, intelligence. But the truth is simpler. The first mover defines the battlefield. When you act swiftly, you dictate the terms. You decide the pace, the tone, the direction. You choose when the game begins. And by the time others join, they arrive late, confused, and already at a disadvantage. Even your enemies are forced to adjust to you. They cannot create their own plans because they are too busy responding to yours. This is the highest form of psychological dominance. Movement so decisive that it disrupts the rhythm of anyone who tries to oppose you. They fall into reaction, and you rise into command. This is why kings, generals, and leaders throughout history were not always the smartest, nor the strongest, but the ones who acted while others doubted. Many people wait for confidence before taking action. The unstoppable do the opposite. They act first, and confidence grows after. Confidence is built through motion, through confronting fear, through stepping into territories that frighten others. And once you understand this, hesitation becomes an enemy you can no longer tolerate. Doubt becomes a cage you refuse to live in. You begin to trust something far more powerful than certainty, your own willingness to act. This law does not demand recklessness. It demands commitment. It demands that you stop seeking guarantees and start seeking dominance over your own hesitation. It demands that you recognize a simple and harsh truth. The world belongs to the person who moves, not the person who waits. When you hesitate, you surrender control of your future to chance. When you move, you seize it with your own hands. Every empire began with a decisive moment. Every revolution with an unplanned step. Every great figure in history with a single act that others believed was too early, too risky, too bold. But the unstoppable knew something others did not. That waiting for certainty is the slowest form of defeat. Action sharpens the mind. Action reveals hidden paths. Action transforms fear into strength. And the faster you move, the less permission you need from the world. Most people believe power comes from controlling others, commanding them, forcing them to follow your will. But the unstoppable understand a truth that is far more subtle, far more elegant, and infinitely more dangerous. You do not need to control people. You only need to control what they perceive. Human beings do not act based on reality. They act based on the version of reality presented to them. And once you master perception, you hold the strings that move the world. Think about it carefully. Every decision anyone makes is shaped by what they believe, what they fear, what they admire, what they assume, and what they misunderstand. Perception is the battlefield long before any action even begins. Kings never controlled millions through force alone. They controlled them through crafted images, orchestrated appearances, carefully shaped reputations. If the world sees you as strong, they treat you as strong. If they see you as weak, they treat you as weak. And this is why the unstoppable never leave their image to chance. They sculpt it with the precision of an artist and the strategy of a general. To master perception, you must first accept that people rarely see the truth. They see reflections. They see fragments. They see stories they create to make sense of their world. And the one who knows how to subtly influence those stories becomes powerful without lifting a single weapon. When you understand this, you stop wasting energy trying to force outcomes. Instead, you position yourself so that others naturally behave in the way that benefits you. They move in your direction without even knowing why. For example, if people perceive you as determined, suddenly your ideas seem credible. If they perceive you as stable, they trust your leadership. If they perceive you as mysterious, they respect your boundaries. You do not need to beg. You do not need to demand. You simply shape the perception that influences their actions. This is the art of indirect power. It is quiet, intelligent, and often invisible. Yet it is the force that guides nations, builds empires, and elevates individuals into legends. But here is the part most people cannot stomach. Perception requires discipline. You cannot show every emotion, reveal every insecurity, or expose every weakness. The unstoppable do not let the world see their uncertainties. They choose what to show and what to hide. They understand that transparency is a luxury, not a strategy. They speak carefully, act deliberately, and reveal only what strengthens their image. This is not deception, it is strategy. Even the sun does not reveal itself all at once. It rises slowly, commanding the sky with controlled brilliance. Once you recognize the power of perception, you stop being reactive. You no longer ask, "Why do people treat me this way?" Instead, you ask, "What did I project that allowed them to treat me this way?" And the moment you take responsibility for your image, you take control of the influence it creates. You begin to walk differently. You speak with precision. You let silence become a tool rather than an accident. People start sensing confidence before you even open your mouth. They begin to look at you with curiosity, with interest, with caution. And without force, without demand, without pressure, you begin to guide their behavior. This is why perception is a higher form of power than control. Controlling people drains energy. Influencing perception multiplies it. When you force someone, they resist. When you shape their perception, they move willingly. And this is the secret the unstoppable use to navigate conflict, negotiation, leadership, and ambition. They craft the world they want by shaping the way others see it. There comes a moment in every person's life when they are struck, criticized, underestimated, or attacked. Most see this as a sign to retreat, to soften, to doubt themselves. But the unstoppable see something entirely different. They see an opportunity. They see a mirror. They see a weapon being handed to them, not taken from them. Because every attack contains within it a lesson, a blueprint, a piece of information that exposes how the world sees you, and more importantly, how your enemies fear you. Weak men crumble under pressure. They let criticism seep into their bones. They allow insults to shape their identity. They treat challenges as proof of their inadequacy. But the unstoppable know that pressure does not define you, it refines you. Fire does not destroy iron, it purifies it. And this is how you must treat every blow life delivers, not as harm, but as heat, not as humiliation, but as sharpening, not as defeat, but as preparation for a greater rise. Every powerful figure in history has been attacked. In fact, the moment you threaten stagnation, the moment you show signs of rising, the world responds with resistance. That resistance is not a sign of your weakness. It is a signal of your potential. People do not waste their arrows on statues. They shoot only at what moves. And if you are being targeted, questioned, doubted, or challenged, it means you are no longer invisible. It means you are stepping into territory others fear you might conquer. But here is where the unstoppable separate themselves from the ordinary. They do not merely survive attacks, they study them. They analyze the source, the intention, the weakness hiding behind the blow. When someone tries to undermine you, it reveals their insecurity. When someone mocks you, it reveals their fear of what you could become. When someone tries to block you, it reveals exactly where you are heading. Your enemies map the path you need to take without even realizing it. And this is the true genius of turning attacks into ammunition. You no longer react emotionally. You react strategically. You allow criticism to expose your blind spots. You let failure teach you what success demands. You let rejection strengthen your resolve. You turn pain into data, pain into direction, pain into progress. Imagine a warrior who learns from every wound. With each cut, he becomes more skilled, more aware, more impossible to defeat. Eventually, his enemies fear him not because he cannot be struck, but because striking him only makes him stronger. This is the mindset of the unstoppable. They are not unbreakable because nothing hurts them. They are unbreakable because hurt transforms them. The truth is, if you want to rise, you cannot expect a smooth path. You cannot expect applause. You cannot expect understanding. People will question your choices, your motives, your abilities. They will criticize your ambition, your confidence, your progress. And in those moments, you face a choice that shapes your destiny. You can shrink into the version of yourself that makes others comfortable, or you can let the discomfort forge a version of yourself that makes others silent. Every insult becomes motivation. Every setback becomes discipline. Every betrayal becomes clarity. You become someone who does not fear adversity, because adversity has become your most loyal teacher. And slowly, something extraordinary happens. The blows that once would have crushed you begin to elevate you. They sculpt your character, sharpen your instincts, harden your resolve. You walk differently. You think differently. You respond differently. You become someone who no longer prays for an easy road, but commands themselves to walk the hard one with strength. There is a moment in every person's life when they must confront the truth they spend years trying to avoid. The greatest enemy they face is not outside of them, but within. Most people blame society, luck, timing, circumstances, even fate. But the unstoppable understand that their real obstacles are their own excuses, their own fears, their own softness. Power does not begin with conquering others. It begins with conquering yourself. And nothing is more brutal or more transformative than declaring war on your own weaknesses. Weakness hides in the smallest corners of your life. It disguises itself as comfort, as laziness, as procrastination, as emotional reactions you do not control. It whispers in your ear, telling you to wait, telling you to relax, telling you to give up just a little. It is subtle, patient, persistent. It does not attack you violently. It drains you quietly, and unless you see it for what it truly is, your greatest enemy. You will never rise above the ordinary. To become unstoppable, you must be willing to look at yourself with the cold clarity of a ruler judging his own empire. You must inspect your habits, your emotions, your routines, your impulses. You must recognize what weakens you and eliminate it with the same ruthlessness you would use against a traitor. Because in truth, weakness is treason. It betrays your future, your potential, your ambition. It steals from you every day, one compromise at a time. But here is the part most people never understand. Removing weakness is not about cruelty toward yourself. It is about loyalty to your own destiny. When you cut out a harmful habit, you are not punishing yourself. You are protecting your throne. When you distance yourself from people who drain you, you are not acting cold. You are preserving your power. When you refuse to tolerate your own excuses, you are not being harsh. You are building the foundation of an empire. This is why the unstoppable seem so disciplined, so focused, so unshakable. It is not because they were born stronger. It is because they remove anything that makes them weaker. They do not negotiate with laziness. They do not tolerate emotional chaos. They do not cling to comfort. They do not allow their feelings to decide their future. They train themselves like warriors, knowing that the battle of life rewards the one who is prepared from within. And something remarkable happens when you live this way. You begin to trust yourself. You begin to rely on your own strength. You begin to feel a sense of inner authority that no one can take from you. While others crumble under stress, you remain steady. While others drown in emotion, you stay clear. While others chase pleasure, you chase mastery. And mastery gives you a presence that cannot be faked. It gives you a mind that cannot be manipulated. It gives you a spirit that cannot be broken. People around you will notice the change. They may not understand it, but they will feel it. They will sense the discipline in your eyes, the control in your tone, the certainty in your actions. They will see that you do not bend easily, and suddenly they will think twice before challenging you, not because you intimidate them with force, but because you intimidate them with the strength you have forged within yourself. This is the brutal truth Machiavelli understood. A ruler with inner weakness cannot rule anything, not even his own life. But a ruler who eliminates weakness commands respect wherever he goes. He walks with an aura that cannot be purchased, inherited, or imitated. It is earned only through self-conquest. And once you achieve even a fraction of this inner domination, you rise above the crowd not by shouting louder, but by standing stronger in the end. Every path to power narrows into a single question: will you rule your life, or will your life rule you? The 7 brutal laws you have heard are not theories, not philosophies, but weapons. Tools forged through centuries of conflict, ambition, and human nature. When you move without hesitation, you seize time. When you control perception, you shape reality. When you turn attacks into ammunition, you rise from every blow stronger than before. When you eliminate your own weaknesses, you build a foundation no enemy can fracture. Each law transforms you, layer by layer, from someone who reacts to the world into someone who commands it. Understand this. Becoming unstoppable is not an event. It is a decision you make every morning, in every action. In every moment you choose discipline over comfort, purpose over distraction, strategy over emotion. And the world will feel the change. People will sense something different in the way you stand, the tone you speak with, the energy you carry. They will not know exactly what happened, but they will know you are no longer the person they could underestimate. And as you walk forward with these laws etched into your mind, remember that power does not belong to the loudest, the strongest, or the lucky. It belongs to the one who dares to endure, to think, to act with intent. The one who sharpens himself through adversity, who rises from challenges, who refuses to let weakness define him. That is the person the world cannot stop. That is the person fate cannot control. That is the person destiny bows to. You do not become unstoppable by wishing for it. You become unstoppable by choosing it, by living in a way that leaves no space for hesitation, no room for fear, no tolerance for self-betrayal. You step into a version of yourself that most people never meet. And from that moment forward, the world begins to change, not because it becomes easier, but because you become greater.